and I would like to welcome the Minister to the House and also welcome this debate here. My overwhelming reaction is that it is incredible that our system operates to such a snail's pace and that it takes such a long time for someone to come out the other end. I note that the Refugee Applications Commissioner and the Refugee Appeals Tribunal, given the fall in numbers in recent years, are actually processing cases rather speedily. However, I also note that asylum applications are up 40% in the year to date. The difficulty arises, it appears, from both judicial reviews of decisions made and in applications for a subsidiary protection and their appeals through the courts. In the circumstances, it is quite understandable that there is disquiet amongst support organisations involved as to the mental and physical well-being of the people involved for such a long time in the system. Nobody can say there are not problems. The Government accept that there are, and in that regard, the Minister for State, Deputy O'Riordan, will tomorrow hold a roundtable with officials and NGOs working in the asylum field. They will discuss the matter and allow the working parties' terms of reference to be set in light of the NGOs' concerns. Quite simply, Senator Mullen's motion is not being acceded to as it seeks to preempt the working parties' deliberations. However, in order to properly assess the issue, some facts need to be considered. The appeals refused figures from the Refugee Appeals Tribunal is hovering at about 90% for the last 10 years. I feel that sometimes the impression is given that we are discussing actual refugees, when in fact the vast majority of cases that we are discussing are economic migrants or those applying for some other form of leave to remain. Additional to this is the fact that over 50% of those in direct provision have judicial review proceedings pending or in train, having deportation orders pending, or are applying for leave to remain for non-protection reasons. It's also the case that of those in the system longer than 4 years, the overwhelming majority, be it the applicant or a family member, have legal proceedings pending, either because they have been ordered to be deported or are appealing decisions not to grant them leave to remain. In relation to the specifics of the motion, I do not believe that we should allow those who claim asylum, as opposed to those who are granted asylum, the right to work. It's important to consider this matter carefully before such suggestions. This would have the effect of adding several thousand onto our dole queues. As regards accommodating those seeking asylum or protection in centres, I very much welcome the required improvements, and the current conditions are unacceptable and I cannot support it. There is a simple solution to these issues, which we have never managed to grasp. We should provide a simple, fair and quick system for determining applications for both asylum and subsidiary protection. During the time they spend here, they should be treated in a humane manner, in appropriate accommodation, the lack of which seems to be the main bone of contention here. The Government are committed to enacting such a system and will do so. The Government will introduce a protection bill by the middle of next year. This new legislation will provide a single application procedure and will make it simpler and more streamlined than the present multifaceted and complicated system. Additional to the institutional reforms in the application and decision-making process, there are continual delays in our court system, which adds further to the problem. I've mentioned before the huge delays in the Superior Court, and it is to be hoped that the new Court of Appeal will assist greatly in that regard, though it's something that we should discuss in this House as a single topic at a future stage. To finish, I think we can all agree that anyone having been granted refugee status or another form of protection in this jurisdiction should be welcomed into our communities, and those awaiting a decision should get that decision in the shortest time possible and should be treated humanely in the interim. The system is at fault here and needs to be urgently fixed. I welcome the decision of the new Minister, Deputy O'Riordan, to establish a review group and his indicated wish to provide a process that takes no more than 12 months from beginning to end. That, in my view, is far too long, and 6 months should be sufficient. However, that can be discussed when the protection bill comes before the House.
Thank you very much, Senator.